A big aspect that people don't realize when they're dealing with narcissistic abuse is not understanding the story that they believe. See, we all have lots of different stories that are in our lives on a day-to-day basis. You might have a story that he loves you, but you're not sure how it's actually demonstrated because you don't see it on a day-to-day basis. You might have a story that this person cares about you, but what you actually don't see is that he's cheating on you. And like we see these and we make these up over and over and over again of having these different stories in our life that we start to believe. We start to think this makes sense. This is real. When in reality, a lot of times it's not. You see, until a person gets to the place that they can admit and they can acknowledge the thing that's actually happening in their life that is actually fake, that's actually false, that's actually a false reality, a false version of the truth that's actually happening, nothing's ever going to change. Nothing's going to get different. This is what happens a lot of times when you're in a narcissistic relationship. You'll be at the place where you'll be like, wait a second, I think this is the truth, but it's not. But it's flipped around, but it's changed. Until you're able to rewire the story that you believe, you will always stay. You will always go back to a toxic person. You will do this over and over and over again, no matter what. This is how we actually work on breaking the trauma bond, the rumination. This is how we work with clients on a daily basis to help them get free. And is by helping you actually change the story that you believe. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, there's two things you need to be able to understand, and that's rewriting versus rewiring. Rewriting is when the narcissist takes something that is truth, it flips it around to be false. Like this was a truth statement. Now it's a false statement I'm going to view as being truth. I rewrote history. I said this actually didn't happen. Something else happened instead. What we try to do is we help people go in and rewire, which is the opposite, which is going back and saying, hey, this is something that's false. Let me change it back to the truth, the reality of the situation. Because until you see the reality of the situation, you will always be stuck. You will always stay trapped. This is what causes you to go back to a toxic person over and over and over again. This is what has you at a place where maybe you're even out of the relationship and you're at the place where you're like, I feel like there's at least some peace because he's not actively abusing me on a day-to-day basis. Like this person isn't in my life 24/7, but that peace doesn't always feel peaceful. The reason why is because of the trauma bond. The reason why is because of the triggers. The reason why is the story that you're ultimately telling yourself. This is the piece that we work with people to help rewire the story that you believe. Until you change that, nothing will change. I was talking to a client earlier today where they're stuck. They're stuck at a place where they're not able to get out. They can't change the mindset here of what's actually going on. They don't want to come to terms with the reality. And this is the part where narcissists and empaths are the same, of not wanting to actually admit the truth of the situation for the empath of knowing like, hey, the truth is this is what actually happened. He doesn't care. He didn't show up in a healthy way. He didn't show up as loving me. He didn't demonstrate this. And there's the other side of understanding like, hey, the narcissist is going to run from truth too, of understanding who I actually am, how I show up, all these different pieces there. People run away from the truth every single day. And as a result, they come up with these different stories, these different alternate versions of reality to exist there. This is why you have cognitive dissonance where the narcissist says, hey, here's one thing, and then here's another thing. It's like, okay, what is actually going on here? The narcissist leaves you in the cognitive dissonance, leaves you immobilized. Do I believe his words or do I believe his actions? Which do I actually believe? And typically you'll either go one or the other, or you'll construct a brand new story to believe instead of the other, instead of the truth, instead of the facts, instead of the reality that you're actually going through. And we see people get stuck with this for a long period of time where they're not able to get out of it. Like just you watching a bunch of content from me, from Dr. Romney, from Lee, from all these other people, just you watching content will not get you free, period. Until the story actually changes in your mind, you will always go back, no matter how much you know. Until the story changes, that person will still live rent-free in your mind every single time, no matter what. Until that story changes. You're like, well, where do these stories come from? Now, there's stories that come from the narcissist, 100%. You're not good enough. You're overweight. No one's going to love you. No one's going to care about a single mom. Like all these things. Like there's millions of stories you get put just from the narcissist, all these lies that he tells you. Okay, but then there's also the aspect of not just the stories from the narcissist, but the stories that you've grown up thinking and believing to be real. The limiting beliefs that you have impressed upon you from your family, from your parents, from your upbringing, from your education, from your childhood, from your religion, from your previous partners, from other experiences that have happened in your life. All these things shape. and have you start to concoct and put together the story that you're currently believing. So I'd ask you today, what story are you actually believing? What story do you have that feels like you're stuck? Maybe stuck with that person physically, or stuck with that person just mentally or emotionally, or stuck in the rumination where you keep thinking about this person over and over and over again. It's like you walk through life and they keep having these intrusive thoughts over and over and over again. And you're like, I don't know how to actually get out of this. Because until you actually change that mindset, nothing will actually change. This is where we work with people on a daily basis, helping them break free of the rumination of the trauma bond to be able to understand where they are, where they want to go, who they are, how they're going to get there. All different pieces. We meet with people. I meet with people a lot of times every single day. Yesterday I met with 8 different people, trying to help them work through the process of how do I actually get free. The step-by-step process that we start to break down in some of our programs and some of the one-on-one coaching that we do to help people understand how to rewire their mindset and get rid of the story that's been imposed upon you from the toxic person. I'll share this example, and then we'll take a couple questions. Okay. I want you to kind of think of this aspect of the trauma bond and of being like stuck. I want you to think of being like the narcissist has a rope. Okay. So think of me holding a rope. I have a rope here. It goes up and around, and I'm holding both ends of it. I take this rope and I pull it around you, and I'm actually holding you back towards me. And this rope is one of the lies that I've told you. You're not smart enough. Like, your job, you spend too much time at your job. Like, why do you even need a business? Like, all this stuff, it starts to pull you back. Now, it can pull you back mentally of like thinking about this person. It can pull you back emotionally of still being in love and missing this person and wanting to reach out. It can pull you back physically of being a Hoover. All these things, the narcissist keeps putting more and more ropes over you time and time again. All these different lies that you're going to believe. And until you're able to actually understand that they're all lies, they're all stories that have been impressed upon you that you've started to tell yourself because of what he's done to you. And you get to the place where you understand, wait a second, that's actually not true. This is true. This is what's actually going on. It's to break one of those ties. And as you do that, it starts to get more capacity to be able to break another one, to be able to break another one. And we start to work through step by step the story that you believe to be free. You notice is going no contact is good, but it doesn't fix it. Not talking to this person, moving across the entire country doesn't fix it. Knowing everything about narcissistic abuse, watching all the bunch of content doesn't fix it. You can still be trapped in your mind. And a lot of times people say trapped for a long period of time. If that's where you are today, reach out for help. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can go to rawmotivations.com. You can click on the one-on-ones. We can talk. We can start to process where you're at in your situation, give you some of the tools and the guidelines of how to actually be free mentally and emotionally. If you're like, I don't know if I want to talk to you, you're a narcissist. Totally get that. Click on the link in the bio, escape toxicity. A 7-day challenge for $7. You get lifetime access to go in. There's like 30, I don't know, there's like 40 videos in it. 40 videos that are geared on like stepping you through understanding narcissism, narcissistic abuse, reactive abuse, the guilt and the shame you feel, how to move forward, what the trauma bond actually is, things like that to help you understand, and a community right there. You can post your daily assignments and work towards your healing process. This is what we do, and we work with people on a daily basis. Okay.